Hello, class. All right, so I'm going to attempt to work through another access exercise here, the one that we would have covered in class this week if it wasn't for us getting bumped because of the pulse activities. But anyway, let me show you which one we're doing here. So we're working in access right now. We are in module 2 now. Under Apply It, there is the SAM Project 1A Access Module 2 Querying a Database. So that is the assignment we will, I will work here for you as a model to follow. All right, so I'm going to open this up. Same process as normal. All right, I'm clicking Start right here. All right, I'm going to, looks like I've got 3 different files here. Got a support file, the instruction file, and then a start file. So I'm going to download all of those. Let me get rid of, all right. Hold on a second here. Let's just make sure that I want to get all this other stuff out of the way for you. All right, so if I click on, so here we see the 3 files that we just downloaded. All right, I'm going to do that again because this is not clear to me. I didn't realize I had other things that I downloaded today, so. All right, let's do that again. All right, so I'm going to click on Download All right here. And for whatever reason, it's opening all those things. I don't really need it to do that, but that's what's happening. Probably should have cleared some of the other files up before I started this. I apologize. Making for a little bit of a bumpy start. Okay, all right, so we downloaded those, so we don't really need this browser right now, so I'm just going to minimize that for the time being. I'm going to go to my downloads folder, and you'll see our 3 files there. That's where they download to on my computer, probably the same for yours. The instructions, I'm going to open them in a second, but one of the first things it's going to ask us to do is to rename this file. So I'm going to right click and choose rename, go forward once on my right arrow key, backspace the 1 off, put a 2, press enter. All right, so now I have my instructions and my working file here, both. I'm going to open my instructions up. I'm just going to get rid of that message. All right, so there's our instructions on the screen. The one item that we already did, we opened the file and we renamed it from 1 to 2. All right, and we get into our project steps. All right, here, Personal Insurance Inc. is a national company that insures homeowners and renters. It also offers umbrella policies that provide additional coverage. As a regional manager, you need to be able to query the database to help make decisions and to answer questions from other employees. All right, so create a query based on the customers table in query design view with the following options. All right, so here's our options listed here. We got an A, B, and a C for project step 1. I'm going to move that out of your view here over here so that I can see it on my other screen, and I'm going to open up our working file here, the file that we renamed just moments ago. All right, now I'm going to bring that into view for you right here. Let me make sure that's displaying the way I want it to. Yep, you guys are seeing my screen. Good. All right. On the video. Okay, here we go. All right, so we're going to go with the first one. We're going to create a query based on the customers table in query design view. So I'm going to go in my tables here. I've got the customer table, and I'm going to say create, and I'm going to query, and I'm going to go query design right here. All right, so because we chose, we have the table that we can choose right here, so it wants us to choose the customers table. I'm going to double click that, and then we're going to add, move that over, get it out of the way, and we're going to add the fields here. All right, I'm going to go, the field it wants is customer ID, then it wants first name, last name, and I'm choosing them from here. You can also drag them down from this table at the top. So last name, and then the other one it wants is date of birth. So I could go here to date of birth and click this and drag it and drop it down here, and it would also fill it in. So you can do this a couple of different ways. It gives us a name it wants us to save the query as, so I'm going to make a copy of that name so I don't have to type it all, and I'm going to click the save button up here, and I'm going to take save as, and I'm going to type that name in right there, customer last name sorted. And then it wants to open the query in datasheet view and then close it. So I'm going to go over here to view, switch to datasheet view. All right, so that's what the results our query gives us. And then we're going to close this. All right, so the query, I can click here to close that query. All right, so we built it, we saved it, we named it, we viewed it, and we closed it. So we did a lot there in that first step. All right, project step 2, we're going to open the homeowner's premium query in design view and make the following changes. So you see in our objects right here, we've got some tables and we got a whole lot of queries. The query it wants us to work with is the homeowner's premium query. So I'm looking here in the list, homeowner's premium. It wants us to view that in design view. So I'm just going to right click on that, and I'm going to say design view. So now you see us here in our tab is open. It wants us to make some changes. So it wants us to delete the customer ID column from the design grid. So the design grid here, so the customer ID column, it wants us to delete. I'm going to choose that, and I'm going to choose delete here at the top. That didn't work the way I expected. Hold on a second here. Let's see. I'm going to save that. I'm going to say no to the changes. I'm going to open that up again in design view. All right, everything's still there. All right. customer ID column. I'm choosing it. Sorry, I've been silent there. I was trying to figure out where I was headed with this. And I'm going to remove the column here. All right. By clicking under query setup, I deleted the column. Now it's gone. Step 2B, add criteria to select only those records where the premium field value is greater than 2,000. All right, so we've got a premium field chosen here. We can do criteria next to this right here. So I'm going to say, let's see, criteria is greater than 2,000. Save the changes, open the query in datasheet view. All right, so I'm going to save, and then I'm going to go to datasheet view. All right, now that we put that criteria in there, see that every one of these items here, now you see they're greater than 2,000. So that's exactly what we wanted. All right, the third step, open. Now that I've completed that one, I'm going to close that. Step 3, open the liability or property query in design view. All right, liability or property query in design view, and add criteria to select only those records where liability field values equals 75,000 or the personal property field equals 75,000. So either or on that. So on the liability field, we got a criteria. And then on the personal property field, so this is where it gets a little tricky. So I'm going to go over to the personal property field. I'm dropping down. You see where the criteria and then or. So I'm dropping down a row. Both of these values are equal 75,000. All right. So where renters, where liability field or the personal property field equals 75,000 or. So I've got it in. Notice in order to do those, the criteria and the or, you got to drop it down to the or column. All right, it wants us to save the changes, so I'm clicking save, and then I'm going to open the query in datasheet view. All right, so you see our results. We do have items that meet that criteria. One, with liability or personal property is equal to 75,000. You can see the results match the query. So good work on that. So it says we should have 3 records appear, and we do. All right, so I'm going to close that one. Going to move on to step 4. Open the comparison birth query in design view to make the following changes. Comparison birth query in design view. All right. Design view. Changes it wants us to make. All right, add the first name field to the query design grid. The first name should immediately follow customer ID field. So I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to add first name. So once I have it added, I'm going to move it over so that it's ahead of that. Add criteria to select only those records where date of birth field is less than 1/1/1950. Date of birth. So I'm going to do criteria less than 1/1/1950. Set the format to medium date for the date of birth field. Alright, so I'm looking to go to the property sheet here. Alright, so the field property is on this one, so I want the format to be medium date, right? And it wants the caption for the date of birth field to be birth date, all one word. So we're going to save the changes. I'm going to close the property sheet and I'm going to open it in data sheet view. Confirm that the results match figure 1 in the instructions. So I'm looking at my instructions and I've got the first person in the list. I've got, where did it want me to put? Add the first name. The first name field should immediately follow customer ID field. Okay, so I did that, put it in the wrong place. This should follow this. Alright, save. Sheet view. Alright, so that matches better. They wanted this to be the medium date. I thought I had that, but it's not matching what's. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. You guys see this here? It's got the ends with a 2-digit year. Mine is ending with a 4-digit year here. So because of that, I'm going to just make sure that I got that right. Property sheet, and it wanted us to do medium date. That's what it says right here. Set the format to medium date for a date of birth field. I got format set to medium date here. So I'm following the instructions, but the results not matching, so we're going to move forward because we've done what it said. Alright, and that brings us on to step 5. So I'm going to close this. Open the state city sort query in design view and make the following changes. State city sort, design view. Move the state field to the beginning of the design grid so that the order of fields in the grid is state, city, first name, and last name. State, city, first name, last name. All right, it's in that order. All right, we're going to sort the records in descending order by the state field and ascending order by the city. All right, so the sort here, you can choose. It wants us to do descending by the state field and ascending by the city. We're going to save the changes. We're going to query in datasheet view. All right, so descending and then ascending, but it's descending by state and ascending by city. It looks like it's working that way. Yes, Alabama shows up in here, so that's fun. Very good. So now we can close that. All right, step 6. We actually have, let's see, 20 steps on this. So this is going to be a while. Be a long video. Probably good. It would have been hard to complete this one in one class period. So, all right, step 6. Open the liability and property query in design view. Liability and property query, design view. All right. Add criteria to select only those records where the liability field values equal 100,000 and personal property field value equals 100,000. So this is and, not or. All right. So liability field equals 100,000. Liability. So under criteria, I'm going to say equals 100,000, and personal property field equals 100,000. So that's yep, 100,000 and 100,000. We're going to save that, and then we're going to view datasheet view. So that is where both items are equal to 100,000, liability and personal property. So we're going to confirm that 2 records appear, and they did. All right, so now we're closing that and moving on to step 7. Open the Michigan Customers Query in Design View. Michigan Customers Query in Design View. And add criteria to select only those records where the state field value is MI. All right, so with the state field value, so where the criteria equals MI, capital M, capital I. Gonna save it, view, gonna run it, and you see it's queried only those 7 records, and that's correct. Save it, close it, move on to 8. Step 8. Because customers of personal insurance reside in many different cities, it is often difficult to know the exact spelling of a city. Open the customer city query in design view and add criteria to select only records where the city field value begins with the letters AL. Save the changes to the query, open the query in design view. All right, so we're going to open the customer city query in design view. All right, now we're going to add criteria to select only those records where the city field value begins with the letters A, I guess that's what that is, AI. Capital A, capital I, okay. All right, under criteria here, I'm going to say equals AI, and then I'm going to put an asterisk here. So that'll be starting with AI no matter what follows. I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to put that in datasheet view. And it looks like I did that one wrong. Hold on a second, let me make sure I didn't miss something. All right, yeah, let me go back and to design view. Let me fix that. data sheet view that, so I guess it was supposed to be AL. Hard for me to see. It looks like it's AL because we don't have an AI in the list. All right, so I'm going to go back to the design view. L with an asterisk. Save, run. Yeah, I'm not doing something right there, guys. Let me try again. So I got to do so that it begins with, and that's what I'm running into trouble. So hold on a second. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to bring up Cengage here. This is how we figure this kind of stuff out. I'm going to go to the Learn It section here, and I'm going to open up the learning. I'm going to start it. And I'm going to go to the task here menu, and I'm going to look for a similar, using a wildcard. Yeah, that's probably good. Let's see. Maybe not. I guess that's the closest thing we got, so I'm going to observe this one.
Queries are always useful for selecting records that meet your specific criteria. You can narrow the selection further, however, by adding a criterion with a wildcard character, such as an asterisk, to the design grid. Click the first criteria cell for the client name field. Type M** symbol in the cell. Textual criteria are not case sensitive, but using proper case makes your criteria easier to read. If you pressed enter at this point, Access would modify the criterion to include the word like, and would also add quotation marks around the criterion to display like and asterisk. However, pressing enter is not required. You can go ahead and run the query. In the results group, click the Run button. Running the query selects the fields and records specified in Query Design View and displays them in Query Datasheet View. 2 records were selected that have a
and I think I was making it harder than it had to be, so let's go back here and check it out. So so here I am. Let's go back to the instructions. We need, okay, begins with the letter AI, so the city field begins with the letters AL. All right, so criterion, looks like all I have to do is type AL and press, and we're going to save it. We're going to do AL asterisk. And then it converts it to like AL, but the wildcard asterisk there allows anything. So then if we go to view and then datasheet view, all right, you'll see that we have 2 different cities that start with AL, Alabaster, Alabama, and Allentown, Pennsylvania. All right, so we're gonna save it, close it, move on to step 9. All right, many queries require data from more than one table. For example, you may want to query a display to display the customer last name rather than the customer ID for a renter's policy. To create a query in Design View based on the customer and renters tables with the following options. All right, so we're going to create a query in Design View. And we're going to move the customers table to the design window. And we're going to add the renters table to the design window. So, I'm going to do that again. I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to close. I'm going to create a query in Design View. I'm going to add the renters table. Then I'm going to add I'm not sure what I keep doing wrong here, but something's not jiving in my head. I'm doing it again. So just hold on a second. All right, so I want to add the customers table and the renters table. Okay, we want both. Makes sense. There's already a relationship there, as you can see by the connection. So we're going to add the last name field from the customers table. So last name, I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna click here on last name, and I'm gonna move it here, and then I'm going to add the policy number and premium field from the renters table. Policy number and premium. All right, so you see how we've got in our query, we've added fields from 2 different tables. The tables do have a relationship in that they have customer ID in both, so they have, once they pull the data into our query, it'll be synced via that common field. So join the customers table and renters table by drawing a line from the customer ID field in the customer table to the customer ID in the renters table. And then as a hint, because the field names are identical in both tables, the line may already be there. It is in our case. Do not attempt to recreate the line if it's already present. All right, save the query using customer renter as the name, customer-renter. So I'm going to copy that so I don't have to type it. Save customer-renter. Okay. We're going to open in datasheet view. All right, so now we have a query that's based on two different tables with data from two different tables. This is when you start feeling the real power that's available to you in Microsoft Access. I'm going to pause there for a moment just to see if you guys feel the full effect of the power that you just witnessed. All right, that's long enough. All right, moving on, we're going to close that, move on. Step 10, because customers live in different states, it is often advantageous to create a query where you can change one criteria using a parameter query. So open the states parameter query in design view. So states parameter in design view. All right. Add a parameter criteria to the state field to replace the current FL criteria. The new parameter criteria should prompt the user to enter desired state as the text. All right, so we're going to enter a parameter criteria. That's another one I think I'm going to have to use the lesson. So I'm going to go to our lesson go. All right, so we're using the parameter criteria. So I'm looking for something here that tells me about that. Create and run a parameter query. Here we go.
A parameter query provides a way to accept user-specified criteria to select records each time the query is run, thereby providing a highly efficient method for collecting and analyzing data. In Query Design View, click the criteria cell for the state field. A parameter criterion is entered in the criteria cells in the query grid, just like other criteria. A parameter criterion is entered in square brackets. Type open bracket, enter state abbreviation, closed bracket in the cell.
All right, we're going to give that a shot, what it just showed us there. Let's see. So here we go. Going to open a bracket. And it wants us to have enter desired state. Be careful with capitalization when you do this. I'm going to close the bracket. I'm going to close the bracket. Yeah, that's the right one. All right, just we're going to save the query, and then we're going to run a datasheet view, and it comes up and asks us for some criteria to enter in this parameter value. In the instructions, it wants us to use PA, so we put PA in there and press enter. And it says we should see 8 records, and as you can see by looking at our record counter at the bottom, we do see 8 records, so we were successful. I'm gonna save it, close it. All right, step 11, open the top values property query in design view. Top values property query in design view. Modify the query to sort the property damage amounts in descending order. So the property damage amounts, we're going to sort them in descending order. Change the return value to display only the top 5 records. All right, that sounds like a property sheet thing. So we want to change it to change return value to display only the top 5 records. So I got to figure out where to do that. All right, so we got a return value situation. Let's see. All right, so we can choose it here. The top values, we want 5. Is this under design query setup? We're changing return values to 5. We'll go to data sheet view. Got 5 records. I'm going to save it. I'm going to close it. All right, step 12. All right, open the total coverage query in design view. Total coverage query in design view. All right, this one's we're doing some calculations. So modify the query by creating a calculating field. Enter total. It's actually got a formula for us. Total coverage, and then it's got liability plus property damage. I'm going to copy that. All right, so I'm going to we're going to create a calculated field. All right, create a calculated, okay, enter that formula in the zoom dialog box of the first empty column in the design grid. First empty column, the zoom dialog box. All right, and I'm going to go back to our instruction here. This is a calculated field. All right, calculated field using the zoom function. So here we go.
Access provides many ways to create fields and perform calculations. Creating a calculated expression using the Zoom dialog box is an efficient way to add a calculation to a query and provides a great deal of flexibility. In Query Design View, right-click the first blank field cell. You will build the calculated field in the first available column of the query grid. On the shortcut menu, click Zoom. The Zoom dialog box provides a large area to enter the expression.
All right, here we go, guys. We're going to right-click, Zoom. Get past that message. We're going to paste that formula in here. We're going to say OK.
You will use an alias of new min order as the name of the calculated field, and you will enter a colon after the alias to separate it from the rest of the expression. In the Zoom dialog box, type new min order, open square bracket, min order, closed square bracket, plus sign 1000 as the calculated expression. If the field name does not contain spaces, you do not need to enter the square brackets. Typing the brackets, however, ensures that the expression was entered correctly. In the Zoom dialog box, click OK. The calculated field is entered in the query grid. In the results grid, click Run.
All right, now that we have that entered into the Zoom function, we'll save. We're going to go to the datasheet view. All right, now you see our total coverage field is there, and it adds those together. If you want to just verify it, validate it, you could look at the very first one in the list, 100,000 plus 300,000, 400,000. Let's skip down. 300,000 plus 400,000, 700,000. Looks like it's doing the calculations exactly the way we want. 500,000 plus 875 is 1.375 million. I think we got it. All right. We're going to save it, close it. All right, now we're down to step 13. Open the average premium query in design view. Average premium in design view. Right click design view. All right, add a totals row to the design grid. Select average as the calculation in the total row, and then set the caption to average premium, the premium field. All right, so we're going to add a totals row to the design grid. I'm going to right click and we're going to choose totals. Yeah. All right, I'm going to view the totals instruction. Add a total row. In design view. Okay, here we go.
Adding a total row to a query is a quick and efficient way to perform calculations on query fields. The results of summary functions, such as sum or count, appear when the query is run. In Query Design View, on the Query Tools Design tab on the ribbon, In the Show Hide group, click the Totals button. The total row is added to the query grid, which allows you to set the field to group by. The total row also allows you to select summary functions for other fields, such as sum, count, average, or minimum.
Alright, so we set the total by clicking the Show Hide up here under Design View. Query Tools, I'm going to choose Average, and then I'm going to go to Property Sheet, and I'm going to change the caption to Average Premium, ABG Prim. I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to run it. And then that's what we get. So that query, Average Premium, is now showing us the average premium. Alright. Alright, so we've got 20 steps, and we're on 14. So we're doing good. Alright. Open the Customers Without Homes query in Design View. Change the join property for relationship between customers and homeowners table to select all records from the customer table and only those records from the home numbers table where the joined fields are equal. Alright, so in order to get to that, I chose the connection, right-clicked, and I'm choosing Join Properties. And it says to change the join property relationships between the customer and homeowners table to select all records from the customer table and only those records from the homeowners table where the alright, so see, all records from the homeowners table and only those records from the customer table where the joined fields are equal. All records from the customers, no, so that's the second one here. The third one, all records from the customers, all records from customers and only those records from homeowners. Very wordy. Yep, that's what we want to do. Alright, we're going to save the changes, and we're going to run or go to datasheet view, and it's going to show us we still had some things to do. I'm sorry. We had a second step. Alright, step B, add the is null criteria for policy number field and add an ascending sort order on the last name field. Last name field, ascending sort, and then Is null criteria for the policy number field. Is null policy number. Save run data sheet view. All right, so our instructions suggest that this should return 21 records, and it does. So we got it. So this is actually showing us, what is this doing? It's showing us any records, any customers where the policy ID field is empty. That would be something that's either bad record keeping, or maybe we haven't sold them a policy yet. Either way, it's good information. All right, so that finishes 14. All right, 15. Open the unique states query in design view. Unique states. Modify the query to list all states only once. Save the changes to the query. All right. So that would be eliminating dupes. I'm going to go to the learning on that. I'm just reading through the list here, guys, trying to pick the right one. All right, that's not really helping much. All right, let me go back to the instructions and see what I'm missing there. Modify the query to list all states only once. wanting to move on to the next one and come back to this, but I might as well get it while I'm here. Like right now, without anything, if we were to run this, it just lists everything. And it wants us to make this so that it doesn't show the duplicates. That seems like that would be pretty easy to do, but I don't remember how to do it right now. I'm working on it though. I found a couple things to try, guys, but let's see. All we've got to do is make it so that it doesn't allow duplicate values. And I'm just missing that somewhere. Alright, I'll move on to the next step, and maybe I'll circle back to that one so as not to waste too much time here on the video. Alright, step 16, create a crosstab query based on the Mid-Atlantic table with the following options. Alright, we have a crosstab query crosstab using the query wizard.
To create a query that summarizes and groups data from a table or other query, use the Crosstab query wizard to create a crosstab query. Click the Create tab on the ribbon. In the Queries group, click the Query Wizard button. The new query dialog box opens and prompts you to choose a...
Alright, so we're going to go to Create Query Wizard, Crosstab Query, Crosstab Query Base Limited Atlantic Table. Alright. I got the Mid-Atlantic table chosen, and it wants us to use the state field for the row headings. So use the city field for the column headings. City field. Alright, and then it wants us to use a count of the customer ID field as a calculated value. Oh, hold on. Count. So here I'm choosing customer ID and I'm choosing count there, so that was kind of already there by default. All right. And we're going to save the query as state city city crosstab as the name. So we viewed it, and we're going to save it. Then we're going to close it. All right, 17. All right, export the renters table as an Excel file with the name renters to the same folder as the one that stores your database. Do not export the data with formatting and layout. All right, save the export steps using export renters as the name. Save the export steps using export renters as the name. Do not add a description. Save the changes to the table and then close it. All right, export the renters table as an Excel file. So let me go to renters table. We can right click on it and we can say export, and then we can choose Excel. All right, so we got some locations here. It wants us to save it to the same location as our database. So on my computer, it's in my downloads folder. Export the renters table with the name renters to the same folder as the one that stores your database. Do not export the data with formatting and layout. All right. I don't see where I have any. All right. there's where we're putting it. File format export says do not export the data with formatting. So I'm just leaving that unchecked. I'm going to click OK. And it wants us to save the export steps. So I'm clicking yes. And I'm saving it as export renders, and I'm not adding a description. All right. So that's all we got to do there. If we had the table open, you're supposed to close it, but we don't. All right, step 18, use the import spreadsheet wizard to import the data from the Excel file that we had as a support document. It's listed here as, here, I'll just show you the name on the screen. This is the name of the file. All right, and append it to the umbrella table. All right, so we're going to do an import spreadsheet wizard. All right, so we're going to file, we're going to do external data, and we're going to say import from a file, Excel. All right, we're going to browse to where our file is. Here it is right here. All right. Import the source data into a new table. No, we're going to append the records to the umbrella table. Yeah. Do not save the import steps. Open the umbrella table data sheet view, and it should contain 14 records. All right, so we're going to OK that. Here's our import wizard. Import to table umbrella. I would like the wizard to analyze my table. No, we're not having it do that. Going to finish that. Save import steps. No, so we're not checking that box. So now if I open up the umbrella table, we should see 14 records, and we do. Done and done. All right, so step 19, rename Pennsylvania owner's query to Pennsylvania customers. Pennsylvania owner's query. We're going to rename it to Pennsylvania customers. In the navigation pane, so that was easy enough. All right, group the objects in the navigation pane by tables and related views. All right, so if we go up here to our, we're going to group it by tables and related views. Save and close any objects in your database. Compact and repair your database. Close it and then exit. Follow the directions on the website to submit your project. All right, so one of these steps here we didn't finish. Step 15. All right, so what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to research that, and I'm just going to do step 15. Well, you know what? The video can just be longer, a little bit longer. I should be able to figure this out, so give me just a second. Open the unique states query in design view. All right, unique states query. I'm going to go back to now that I've changed my view, it's harder to find. So design view. All right, and this is the one where we're trying to eliminate duplicates. So modify the query to list all states only once. Alright, create a normal access select query containing the field with duplicate information. To change the query to be an aggregate query, by clicking the totals icon on the ribbon, one more field, and so we're just going to do click total, and I'm going to count. I'm going to run. Nope, that's not it. That's not what I'm trying to do. Alright, so that's how we're doing this now. It wants us to only, according to the instructions, so we modify it to list. So what we did here is I just chose an empty column in the design view here and turned on totals. I'm choosing count, but I'm not going to display this. So when I run the query, it just shows the unique values, which is 15. If you leave it checked, it will actually count them for you, but we don't really need it to do that. We just need it to list them. So that's the secret there. That's why that one was kind of hard. So that was step 15, circling back. So I'm saving that, closing it. Then I'm going to go back to the end of my instructions again. All right, I'm going to group the objects by tables and related views. All right, so that's done. We've done everything else, so we're going to submit this. Closing that. I'm going back to my Cengage. Let's find it. It's open somewhere. Hold on, where did it go? Oh, yeah. All right, so I'm going back here into Access, into Apply It for Module 2. Starting this. All right, so we've already downloaded and worked this now, so now I just need to go to the file and upload it. All right, my files match, so I submit it. And then it's done. All right, hope this helps, guys. Sorry it took me so long on some of those, but we got there. That's the important thing. All right, see you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.